Maury is back
You are the boss.
with the important topic of conjoined twins. But what happens when one conjoined twin starts to not be able to stand the other?
Why did you tell her to go? That was a fucking sketch. You weren't telling me anything new. We cannot have these long-ass conversations like that. It's stupid.
The season of Maury at the center of it all starts September 19th.
Alright, well that start video was only kind of played for laughs here. You know, Michael is getting more and more frustrated with Brittany if you really see him on feeds with him over the past few days. This past week, I do think Brittany has gotten on Michael's nerves several times. Now, I'm joking that they're actually going to split up, though. I see a lot of people on social media thinking that Michael is turning on Brittany and would rather Brittany go over Taylor, and when that's just not quite the case. Michael has been telling Turner to, throw Brittany under the bus for the All Girls Alliance if he has to next week. But he's doing this strategically here from Michael because Michael would rather Brittany be on the block so that Michael's not on the block. Michael could win veto and take Brittany down. That is what Michael's hoping, so that they're both safe. Michael wants to go to the final two with Brittany, just like Brittany wants to go to the final two with Michael. They have hitched themselves to each other. It's why I've called them conjoined twins a few times this season, because they have been conjoined in an obvious duo for so long now. They both want to go to each other because, well, I don't know why Brittany wants to. I guess because she wants Michael to win. And then Michael wants to go because he thinks he could beat Brittany. And that is probably his best shot with this jury if they get into the final two and vote that way. This jury, though, or this potential jury, we see Terrence talking shit about Taylor again today. The man who hates Taylor for literally no reason. A lot of people call it misogyny, and they're probably right. But Terrence is showing me this cast and this jury makes their mind jump through hoops to try and believe the bullshit that they sell. Which is, again, what makes me think that if it's Michael and Brittany at the end, despite Brittany being involved with Michael and them doing the same exact thing with the Kyle situation, although Michael did do it longer and Michael was more in on it than Kyle, but Brittany still did the same exact thing and used the racism for gameplay to turn it against Kyle at the right moment. I could easily see this jury from this awful cast jumping through hoops in their mind to convince themselves that Brittany did not play a big of a part of it as Michael, and so Michael should still lose over Brittany, even though Michael carried Brittany this entire game. The hoop jumping from the minds, the minuscule minds of these players is ridiculous. So I can still see ways that Michael gets to the final two and loses this game, even to Brittany. It's possible. Now, I'm about to drag some Big Brother alumni here in a while, so if you are super fans of Alumni, this is a no stand zone. I don't stand anybody in any way, whether it's a reality show, soap operas, wrestling, sports. This is a no stand zone. But before that, I also had some comments I want to kind of go over from my last video. We had somebody asking about white tears because of Brittany's white tears. And Taylor has brought up white girl tears on the feeds a few times. And it's a thing that white women do for emotional manipulation. For all of the feminism and the white feminism, white women are very coddled in society compared to women of color. And they use white tears as a weapon many times through life. It's also probably a reason why Brittany has become so overrated this week. Her overratedness fell apart because her plan to turn people against Taylor has fallen back on her because she does too damn much and she's awful at playing the rat game. It's funny that she was getting praised for outplaying, and then all of her playing falls back onto her because people talk. But it's no surprise that people, especially white people, love to try and praise white mediocrity. And in Brittany's case, Brittany's not even mediocre. She sucks. But sometimes it's not even white people that, praise white mediocrity. A lot of people praise white mediocrity, and that's what I knew was going to happen with Brittany to try and make her seem better than she actually is. It's what we see out of Rob Has a Podcast always at their end of season rankings, especially in Big Brother Canada 9 and last year on Big Brother 23, where they always do their end of season rankings, and they always overrate white players and underrate black players, especially when they did it to Claire last season, who was basically the fucking chair in the game. Claire the chair, I was calling her during the season, because she was furniture who did nothing. So I don't know why people were praising Brittany, even though she was doing a terrible job at the game, and it all fell apart 24 hours later, and those people who were praising Brittany have egg on their fucking face now. I don't know if people feel sorry for Brittany because she has that loser mentality herself and she hates herself. I don't know if people feel sorry for Brittany because she looks like one of Casper the Friendly Ghost brothers. But Brittany is playing a terrible game. 53 Block in the comments was also saying that basically all the women, including Taylor, are playing the worst games. I still say Taylor has the best social game in the house for me, because everybody else's social game has been awful. Now, I do think Brittany and Alyssa would be the worst winners if they were to win. But I could easily make the case that Turner's game could arguably be the worst in the house himself. At least out of everyone left, not named Terrence. Because Turner's game also sucks, because Turner's game has had no rhyme or reason. Every time Turner has been HOH, he has no backbone and gets pressured into doing what other people want. And he has nothing to show for it. Turner has no real resume that he was not pushed into doing. Turner spent a lot of this game being close to Kyle and Alyssa, and playing for Kyle, even when Kyle was turning on the alliance, but Kyle was trying to protect Alyssa, and Turner just went along with it at Direfest, only to now make Alyssa a target possibly if that's what Monty wants to do. So Turner spent a lot of the game going along with Kyle stupidly to protect Alyssa, only for him to make Alyssa an enemy possibly going forward if that's what Monty wants. Because Turner has no backbone, and he has no rhyme or reason to his game. The only thing Turner has over Alyssa and Brittany is HOH wins. But that's my biggest annoyance with this goddamn cast, is that's the only thing some of these players have. Just because they're good at competitions does not mean they're good at the game. Michael is not good at this game. He has no social game. Now, I will say he is doing things this week that I give him credit for, trying to better his end game like he should be doing. So it's not like Michael doesn't have strategies. I think some of his strategies in this game is what hurt his game in the possible long run of having a bitter jury vote against him. But he has no social game. So I just don't like when players get praised for being good players just because they're good at Big Brother's awful competitions. And that's all Turner has, is 2 HOH wins. Because his game, he has nothing to show for it. It's been all over the place. You can make an argument he is the worst player left. You can make that same argument for Terrence. His terrible rat game. Looks like Terrence is still going this week. But if he wasn't, you can make the argument that Terrence has played the worst game in this house. Everybody in this cast has played poorly in some way, shape, or form. Taylor has the best social game, honestly, by far, in my opinion, but some of her strategies, like I talked about yesterday, hitching herself to that duo, not the best idea to go to the end with that duo, but I do think she's coming around to that Michael needs to go sooner rather than later. Monty's social game has not been the best in this game either. When Monty plays, he can do a good job. That's why I could still see Monty be a sleeper winner this season. I think I could make an argument, actually, that Monty is the most well-rounded player left out of everybody at this point. But he still does dumb shit regarding Taylor sometimes. He does dumb shit. He talks too much. Monty's biggest flaw is he talks too much and he spirals sometimes. Much like everybody else in this cast, he too can be a very emotional player. Anyway, lastly, since nothing really else changed in the game, let's talk about the alumni real quick. Janelle saying something stupid that got her dragged on social media, rightfully so.
If I could change one thing about Big Brother, I would honestly change the live feeds. I think they should go away. And I think that it should be an edited show. So there can be no more witch hunts for these people. And you can't ruin anyone's life. And, the Justice Warriors will just have to, do that from the edited version of the show. And if you want to do that, that's fine. But there's a lot of twisting of words and things, and I feel like a lot of this would go away if there just was no live feed.
First of all, Janelle Plastic Face Pierzina out here saying, let's hide the racism from the game. Fuck all the black players. Fuck all the POC. Let's hide the racism from the game. Big Brother without live feeds would be a failure. I mean, I could see Big Brother maybe lasting a season or two with the live feeds, and their ratings might stay solid because people want to see what's going on. But after they see how poorly edited these episodes are, they're going to tune out. They would lose all the momentum Big Brother has as a social media juggernaut. Big Brother on social media is super relevant, but the only reason it's super relevant is because of the live feeds. Janelle wants to play Captain Save-A-Ho here with a lot of the cast members, and she also wants to say that she doesn't think modern society people can play the game. The problem is casting. The problem is production. They don't cast people. Look at the season. Look at the poor gameplay I've been talking about all season. They don't cast people to play the game as it is. They cast a bunch of idiots who get personal, who want to just gang up on people. But also, the episodes are edited very poorly. The episodes are basically, their terrible competitions take up most of the time in the episodes. And then you get a little irrelevant, funny little edits here. And then you get about 10 to 12 minutes of actual gameplay. That's not actually the gameplay. Big Brother does not edit in the actual gameplay. This season has been so far away from the actual gameplay. I don't know what they've done with the edits, but it's like fan fiction. I've seen other people call the edited episodes fan fiction, and that's what it is. They don't actually edit what's happening on the live feeds. They try and force their own bad storylines instead of giving us the actual storylines within the game that are actually happening. It makes no sense to the episodes, but that's what they do. And it almost worked this season. There was a point in the season where the ratings were strong. They've completely fallen apart now because they didn't give us any actual relevant storylines throughout the season like they could have and should have. But that Janelle sounds dumb here. I swear the alumni want to be relevant, but also want to go against the actual fans that make them relevant in the first place. If you're going to have hot takes, at least say something smart. Like Adam from Big Brother 13 here, sounding dumb as rocks. Adam wants to have a hot take here coming for Taylor because Taylor's the popular person, but he gets it all wrong, saying she's gone through final threes like I go through Bacon with his, I guess he's trying to still relevant with Bacon still all these years later. He's not. But if Adam actually, didn't watch only the episodes and watch the live feeds, maybe he can make a strong point here. But instead, he makes the opposite point that isn't actually true, that Taylor's going through final threes, the same Taylor that's been attached to the Michael and Brittany this entire game. That's the part of Taylor's game that isn't the smartest, is wanting to go to final three with those two and lessen her actual odds of making final two. But instead he's saying she's going through final threes, which is not actually anything that's ever really happened on live feeds or been relevant to live feeds. So this just obliterates Janelle's point, because you have another alumni like Adam only watching the episodes, getting everything wrong. He's saying something completely wrong here because he only watches this show's poor episodes. The alumni on the show are just dumb. And then we wonder why the current casts are dumb. And look, Janelle on her seasons, very rootable. I love Janelle and Kaser on their seasons. But outside the game, Janelle says some pretty stupid shit. And she just blocks everybody that disagrees with her. Like, some of these alumni love to do that. Evil Dick's another one. He's the biggest pussy in the alumni on social media because he will block everyone who says any little thing against him. Like, this is the same guy that is supposed to be the big bad villain on his season who would terrorize people, but then on social media, he's a pussy. He shouldn't even be called Evil Dick anymore. Just call him Pussy Dick. Like, I love how they always want to get their opinions out, but if anybody disagrees with them just a little bit, they have to be blocked. Thus, alumni and their need to stay relevant. Just annoying. And lastly, with the live feeds, this show is nothing without the live feeds. And they tried this in Australia. They took away the live feeds, and that show has been struggling ever since. It's been canceled, came back, and they struggled to stay on the air. Big Brother UK without live feeds eventually went to their slow death. They're coming back, and they're talking about coming back with live feeds. Geez, I wonder why, because it makes your show way more relevant on social media. Anyway, I guess the lesson learned today is that the alumni are actually just as stupid as the current cast.